friend. Okay. So now I'm going to get to here. All right. Welcome, everyone. We are live now on Facebook, Cool Kids Campaign's Facebook page. And tonight, I first welcome from the Cool Kids Campaign office here in Towson, Maryland. My name is Terry Lombardi, and I'm the Community Relations Coordinator for Cool Kids. And I work here with Janet Robinson, and she is our Director of Operations. And tonight we have, it is the first of our virtual interview series. And tonight hosting our event is Johnny Holliday. In 1965, he was named the top disc jockey in the United States, and we're so glad to have him here with us today. He also is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a DJ, which is very impressive. Yes, I got to visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and just never enough time there. Johnny is also the voice of the Maryland basketball men's team and men's football team since 1979. And then also from 2007 to 2018, Johnny and Ray Knight were the pre and post game broadcasters of the Washington Nationals. And we are lucky to have Johnny as one of our board members since 2008. So thank you, Johnny, so much for being here this evening with us. And we'll let you introduce our first guest.
Thank you very much, Terry. It is delightful to be with all of you tonight for this very special, I think we're going to call it the Cool Kids Special Spotlight. And you couldn't pick a better person to begin our series of interviews than Mike Eruzione, not only known for having that great goal against the Soviet Union back in the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid that put America on top 4-3 in a time that was kind of a turmoil time for the country. There was Vietnam, there was a recession, there was the Watergate, there was all sorts of things that didn't have people feeling good about themselves or about the country. But what Mike did and what that US Olympic hockey team did will forever be remembered as perhaps the greatest or one of the greatest sporting events of all time, a heavy underdog. And we'll talk to Mike about that. But there's a lot more to Mike Eruzione besides just the hockey game, the book he's got out, the movie, The Miracle, based on his life. And first of all, Mike, thanks so much for taking time to join us on what will be a very busy weekend for you, or starting on Sunday, because you've got your third annual celebrity golf tournament up there in Massachusetts.
Yeah, John, thank you very much. And thanks for having me on and discussing, whatever we're going to talk about. But yeah, I'm excited about the third year of it, with this pandemic and everything that's going on. We want to try to just, bring some fun and some joy to people's lives. Everybody's kind of tied up a little and frustrated a little, and to be able to have a golf tournament and raise some money for the Cool Kids campaign and Kids with Cancer, and a portion will go to my foundation as well. But I just think, we need something. We need a little getaway, and this will be hopefully a nice Sunday, Monday for me to be able to do that.
Like when you go back and talk about your childhood growing up in Winthrop, Massachusetts, you played a lot of sports in school. You have never had anything handed to you on a silver platter. You had to work for everything you got when you were in high school, when you were at Boston University, captain of the hockey team, averaging 20 goals all 4 years, then going to the Olympics. But it wasn't as easy a road as maybe people think it was.
No, it wasn't. I was always somebody that, people always challenged me. I wasn't given a lot of respect as an athlete. People didn't think I was good enough or talented enough or big enough. So I think, maybe that was something that drove me a little, to make me to, tell people that you're wrong, but that's, I guess, when you look at life, you face challenges, you face obstacles, you face naysayers, and I faced them pretty much all my life, and it's great when you're able to prove people wrong, but I think that kind of drove me. But I think that's, the family, the atmosphere I grew up in, kind of pushed me to do that. My dad always said, my dad always said, if you believe in something and you're willing to work hard for it, you will accomplish it. And I always believed in that.
Was your dad the major motivator for you growing up?
Yeah, I think my dad, but my uncle Tony, who lived upstairs from me, my cousins that I lived in the house that I lived in. My mother was, a silent motivator for me. My mother always stood in the background, and I don't know if I ever appreciated my mother as much as I should have, because she just took care of us. But I never understood a lot of that. But I'll remember one thing: after the Olympic Games, we were sitting at a kitchen table, and I was being interviewed by ABC. And the guy said to my mother, the reporter, I forget who it was, he said, "You must be proud of your son." And my mom said, "I'm proud of all my kids." And I
Wow.
thought that was a great comment. And it stays with me to this day, because it showed me how important I was to her, but how important my 4 sisters and my brother were.
How have you managed over all the years with all the accolades you received and the notoriety you received from that one goal against the Soviet Union back in 1980, 40 years ago? You would think that that would probably take you, elevate the head to be a little bit big, to kind of take yourself very seriously. But I don't think you've ever done that. You've
No,
kind of remained the same.
I've never felt an athletic event should change who you are. I was very happy who I was. I was very comfortable who I was. I lived next door, 2 houses away from the house that I grew up in. My wife's mother lives 4 houses away from me. I've always looked, if we never won, I'd still be living, in my hometown. I'd be married to the same girl. My wife and I have been married 38 years, and now we dated for 12 years. So I just felt that this is who I am and this is where I should be. I don't think success or a gold medal should change who you are and the type of person you are. And that was always important to me. I think my family, my friends, it's a big part of my life.
What made you concentrate on hockey when you played other sports as well?
Well, I kind of funneled into hockey. I played more baseball in my life than I played hockey. And in high school, football was my passion. I loved football, and hockey was something you kind of did in the wintertime. Hockey wasn't a huge thing in those years. And I just kind of stumbled into the sport of hockey after a period of crazy situations. I went to prep school with the hope of going to University of New Hampshire, and I wanted to play hockey, football, and baseball there. And the hockey coach didn't think I was a Division I player, so I had nowhere to go to school. I was going to Division II school, which is called Merrimack College, and then I played in a summer league game, and the guy refereeing the game saw me play and thought, you have a chance to play Division I hockey. Why don't you come to Boston University? It was Jack Parker. If it wasn't for Jack Parker, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I ended up at Boston University. So a crazy confluence of events led me to be at Boston University. And if I wasn't at BU, I don't obviously think I would have had a chance to play on an Olympic team. So, go back, and not to change the subject, but that's, part of my book is explaining the crazy events in my life that led to me being on the Olympic team.
That Olympic team in 1980 averaged 22 years of age. The Soviet Union, I think, averaged 25 or maybe 26. There was only 2 25-year-old guys in that team. One was you, and the other was your teammate, and that was, Buzz Schneider?
Buzzy Schneider.
He was 25, and Ramsey, I think, was 19 at the time.
Yeah.
And here the Soviet Union had won 5 of the previous 6 Olympic Games. You guys were heavy underdogs, college kids, amateurs, against these big-time professionals. Nobody gave you a shot except you guys individually and your coach, Herb Brooks.
Yeah, and it's funny, I talked to people today, that team that I played on in 1980 would possibly be the youngest team in college hockey today. That's how much the age has changed.
Yeah.
You know what? We can make up all the stories and talk about all the equations and all the scenarios, but as an athlete, if you think you're going to lose, you probably will. And we knew it was going to be hard. We knew it was going to be difficult. We went into the Olympic Games with the hope and dreams of winning. We went into the Olympic Games with the thought, and this was Herb's thought for our team, it was to get to the medal round, get to the Final Four. 40 years later, people talk about the Soviet game, the Soviet game. You know what? That was a huge game, an incredible game, and an unbelievable victory. But if we lose to Finland on Sunday, we might not win a medal. So who cares about the Soviet game? People forgot about Sweden, Czechoslovakia, West Germany, 3 countries that were supposed to beat us, and we weren't supposed to, and we tied Sweden, we beat the Czechs, we beat West Germany, and we beat West Germany after being behind 2-0. So, everybody remembers that one game, and I get it, and I understand it, and that was an incredible and amazing victory. But hell, if we lose to Finland and don't win a medal, who cares about the Soviet game? It wouldn't have meant anything to us other than, hey, great win, guys, but you didn't win a medal. You didn't win what you wanted to win. And our goal was to win whatever medal it was possible. And the Finland game gave us the opportunity to win the whole thing.
When you scored the game-winning goal, it wasn't with a matter of 2 or 3 minutes to go. You had 10 minutes to play in that third period. And that's a long way to go in a hockey game because anything can happen in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I scored, gave us the lead. And it's interesting. I've only seen the Soviet game, I think 3 times, maybe 4 times in my life. And I think twice might have been in the last 8 months because of the anniversary of our team. But what amazed me was, and I didn't know this because I never watched the game, was in the last 10 minutes after I scored, the Soviets only had 8 shots on goal, and 8 of those shots 5 of them came from outside the blue line. So I know how long that 10 minutes was. It was forever. It was absolutely forever.
I bet.
But until I got to watch the game, I got to realize how well we played with the lead. And I think it was Robbie McClanahan. We were doing an interview with the 40th anniversary, and Robbie said we outscored our opponents 16-3 in the third period throughout the whole Olympic Games. That's an unbelievable statistic, which I guess, to me tells me how good we were and how talented we were. And all those drills and all those Herbies and all that skating we did paid off. So, my goal gave us the lead, but and trust me, if Jimmy didn't play the way he played, if Mark Johnson wasn't who he was, Mark Johnson, we don't win without Mark Johnson. Let's put it that way. As great as Jimmy was, when we needed a goal to be scored, Magic scored it for us. So, I think someday I may be able to sit back and watch all the games and look at it and think about it and watch it.
Did you have any idea after you beat the Soviet Union, then you beat Finland, both by a score of 4-3, and you get the goal over Finland, the impact it would have on the entire country of what you guys have done? Such a young team.
No clue, no idea. We knew people in Lake Placid were happy. We clearly knew our family and friends were happy, but we you know what? I'll be honest with you. 40 years later, we still get a letter or somebody that tells us something. The moment was a special moment for a lot of different reasons. One was a hockey event because we won a gold medal in your own country. But a lot of it was from a political standpoint. We didn't realize it then, we realized it later. I think as a country, we were looking for something to feel good about. We had the hostages that had been taken. Soviets had invaded Afghanistan. Who's going to be the president? Gas lines, inflation. As a country, we needed something to feel good about. And I hate to say it this way, but maybe what we're dealing with right now, we needed something to feel good about. And along we come. And of all sports, ice hockey. And the country reacted in a way that kind of showed the world, this is what makes this country so great. This is why the United States is the United States. Look what these kids did when nobody thought they could. And I think that's a little more of the backdrop of what we did and what we accomplished. And it wasn't about patting ourselves on the back and saying, look at us, look what we did. We were kids playing a game and never knew that we could lift the country the way that we did. And I think that's another part of how my teammates and I are so proud of our accomplishment.
Like anybody 40 years of age watching this little conversation with you and I tonight, had no idea what was going on 40 years ago. They were
Right.
just born. It was only the second time in the history of the Olympics that the United States had won the gold. 1960 in Squaw Valley, and then again you come up and you win it here in 1980. Wow.
Yeah, again, to me, it's of all sports, it's ice hockey. You know, hockey was not in this country a huge sport. Now it's grown to
Oh, yeah, like it is today.
those numbers. But again, I've always said, you know, Olympic athletes, you know, we represent the United States. You know, Dan Jansen, a good friend of mine who's very involved with the Cool Kids campaign. When we watch Dan Jansen skate, we watch Michael Phelps swim, we watch Simone Biles, you know, in gymnastics. They represent the United States. They represent us. You know, the Patriots, and I'm a Boston guy, the Patriots win a Super Bowl. We're happy in New England, but other states don't care. A Super Bowl last year, Kansas City wins, San Francisco doesn't. And a lot of people really, you know, aren't into it as much, other than who they bet maybe. But when it's the Olympic Games, it's a nation. And they feel a part of us. They feel a part of that athlete because that's us. You put a USA jersey on, it means something. It's a special feeling. It's a special moment in your life. So I think in 1980, what we did was we represented our country and not a city or a town or a state. And I think that's what the Olympic Games are about.
Even today, young kids want to wear a number 21 jersey.
Well, I don't know about that.
Mike Eruzione wore number 21.
Well, I tell a funny story. My daughter has 3 boys. They're 7, 6, and 5, and they skate at the Mike Eruzione Center in my hometown, and they don't know who Mike Eruzione is. So my grandson, he's 7. He's trying out for mites, and my daughter said, "What jersey do you want to wear to tryouts?" And she goes, "I want to wear the Pasternak jersey," who's a great player for the Bruins. She goes, "What about Papa's jersey?" He goes, No, I want to wear Pasternak's jersey. So I got to convince my grandkids that Papa was somebody.
What an honor to be the captain too, Mike, of that Olympic team. And then in 2002, you guys as a group go out to Salt Lake City and lit the Olympic flame. That had to be another major thrill for you.
Yeah, well, I'll backtrack for the first part of the question as being captain of the team. I always felt I was a captain amongst captains. There were 19 players in that room, plus myself being 20, that were captains of their high school teams or their college teams. We had great leaders in that room. We had great players. Mark Johnson, captain at Wisconsin. Bobby Suter, captain at Wisconsin. Mark Wells, Kenny Morrow, captains at Bowling Green. John Harrington, Mark Pavlich, captains at Minnesota Duluth. Jack O'Callahan, a 2-time captain at Boston University. Phil Vercote, and I can go on. Neil Broughton, they were all captains of their teams. So being the captain was an honor. It was special, but it wasn't a big deal to me. I think lighting the cauldron in Salt Lake City was an incredible honor. When you think of Muhammad Ali, did it in Atlanta. Rayford Johnson lit the cauldron in Los Angeles, and they selected us to light the cauldron in Salt Lake City. And if you go back, and I don't know how many people are listening that were born or around that time, but that was right after 9/11, and that was a very moving, very emotional opening ceremonies. They brought the flag in from the World Trade Center, and you know, I remember standing there and bringing my teammates up to light that cauldron. That was pretty special.
Mike, 13 of the 20 players from that Olympic team went on to play in the NHL. You were not one of them because you decided at the end of the Olympics, that's it for me. Why did you retire? And you could have gone on to play in the NHL.
Yeah, you know, it was a decision I made. You know, I was 25 at the time. If I was 19 or 20, I think I would have continued to play. There's no doubt in my mind, and I've said this many times, I could have played in the NHL. I would have been a 3 or 4 year player. I've been an average player, 3rd, 4th line player. I think I would have been a good teammate. I'd like to think I would have been a good guy in the community. You know, somebody that people could respect and admire and look up to. But I just felt it was time to move on. I go back to things my dad said to me, there's more to life than athletics. And at some point the game ends. And I felt at that point in my life, it was time to move on. It's not like today. Nobody said, here's 10 million. Oh, I think I'll play. You know, so It wasn't a financial decision. It was just more, for me, I thought it was just time to move on, and I was going to coach and teach. I was a phys ed major from Boston University, and that was my goal, was to coach and teach. And we win, and all of a sudden my life took a drastic turn.
You've also got a book out. It's one of the best-selling books. Every hockey fan in America should have a copy of this book because it chronicles all the things you went through to get where you are today, what you did. And as we were talking before we came on the air tonight, it's not strictly about that one goal. There's other things that you cover in this book. Why'd you write the book?
I wrote the book along with Neil Bodette, who's a Boston University grad and lives out in Michigan. I wrote the book for one reason and one reason only. And I said this to Neil: I don't care if anybody buys the book. I want my grandkids and my great grandkids and their kids down the road to understand that Papa's life wasn't one game, one goal, one moment. I want my grandkids to know about their great grandfather, their great grandmother, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, people that are very important in my life, and why I was able to achieve whatever moments I've achieved. And I think they've been pretty successful, but I just think it's more important that they understand who I am and what I'm about. And I didn't score just one goal. I didn't play in one game. I didn't have one moment. And that's basically the reason behind the book. To me, it's simple. As we talked earlier, I wish I could have put a few more family stories in there, but they want a lot about the Olympics, and I got that. HarperCollins has been outstanding to work with and deal with, and Neil Bodette did an outstanding job with him and I over 2 years of collaborating over stories and things. I wish I could have wrote a few more things in there, but the basis of the book was, again, I want my grandkids and great grandkids to know that Papa didn't just do, play in one game and score one goal.
Like, the reason we're talking tonight is because there are some people who may not know about the Cool Kids campaign. You're on the board of directors of the Cool Kids. It's very important that they raise money to help these children. No child should be hit with cancer. No child. I have a grandson who had a brain tumor diagnosed when he was 11 years old. Thank goodness he's 21 now, but without support system like the people, the Cool Kids, that might not have been possible. So if anybody wants to make a donation tonight, you can certainly go to coolkidscampaign.org. And if you donate $100, you'll get an autographed copy of Mike's book. If you donate $300, you'll get a jersey, number 21, a Mike Eruzione jersey. $375 gets you the book and gets you the jersey. I know Terry Lombardi is standing by, and if you'd like to contact her, her number is 410-560-1770, or go to terry@coolkidscampaign.org. And if you have any questions from folks that have sent in, just nod your head, Terry, and we'll get to some of those. And Mike, you talked about your tournament coming up. Your title sponsor's Muffin Town. And you've got a couple of guys. You've got Jack O'Callahan's coming back to play in this event. You've also got Ray Bork. You've got Jim McMahon. You've got Pierre LaRouche, Mario Lemieux. My good, it's like a who's who in the sports world. Yeah, unfortunately, and you're right. I mean, Mac and Mario and Pierre can't come because of the COVID, but I got Ray Bork, Dan Jansen, who's, as you all know, is, has that, the center in Charlotte, the Dan Jansen Center. But I got a bunch of Mark Bavaro, great football player with New York Giants. I got a ton of local celebrities, and you know what? It's important. And again, I'll go back to my mom. This was the other side of my mother. She said, you have an opportunity to give back. And I'm fortunate to be able to give back. The gold medal has given me an opportunity to raise a lot of money for a lot of different organizations. I'm so honored and proud to be part of the Cool Kids campaign. I have my own foundation here in my hometown to raise money for local organizations. So I'm excited about my event this week. We're going to have fun. I was worried about the weather, but the weather's going to be okay. And we're going to raise some good money, and it's going to go to kids who need it and families who need it. And again, like I said, as an athlete,
we've been so blessed and so fortunate in our lives to accomplish so many things, and to be able to give back and help others. That's a great joy, and something that you take great pride in.
Cool Kids is a registered nonprofit up in Massachusetts. That's why we're trying to raise more money, more awareness to impact as many families as we can living in Massachusetts. And I like what you just said there, Mike, about, you want to give back as much as you can. You were fortunate to be in a situation where you've got a platform, having been part of the Olympic team. And I think sometimes the voices of people like you will be heard more than any other people in the sporting world.
Yeah, I think maybe, I'm a little older, so I think maybe more the current athletes, but again, I think any athletes who's achieved any success and has any notoriety, as small as it might be or as great as it might be. I realized 40 years ago I was a part of something, and my name's not a big name anymore. And there are a lot of great athletes and current athletes that have a bigger value and a bigger name. But even 40 years later, if I'm able to help out and do something for someone or some organization, shame on me if I don't help out or do something to be a part of it.
Terry, I can see by the look on your face, you may have a question here that somebody's emailed into us.
I do have a question. You know me so well already. That's fabulous. Okay, so the question is, assuming you have seen the movie Miracle, this is Mike, did you find it to be fairly accurate representation of your experience on the U.S. Olympic hockey team?
Yeah, I thought the movie was done well. Herb Brooks, Kurt Russell, first of all, let me go back. Kurt Russell was amazing. I mean, it was amazing. He was brilliant as Herb. Although he was a little friendlier in the movie. Herb was a little more intense. So they softened him up in the movie. There were a couple of Hollywood scenes here and there, but what I thought the movie got was the gist of the story. What our team went through, what our team accomplished, what it meant to a nation. I always said the HBO documentary I thought was spectacular. And if anybody has watched the movie Miracle, you should watch the HBO documentary. But I thought the movie was done well. A couple of Hollywood scenes here and there, but we won.
Well, I think we'll need to have it as one of our movie nights for our cool kids then.
Absolutely.
Have a little popcorn and yeah. All right, great. And I do have another question. So do you still see any of your Olympic teammates?
Yeah, we've been able to get together now and then. We had a 40th anniversary in Las Vegas in February before this whole craziness happened. I actually was on the phone with Jack O'Callahan yesterday because Jack's coming up to play in my Cool Kids golf tournament this weekend from Jacksonville. OC lives in Jacksonville. We get together once in a while. We have a fantasy camp in Lake Placid. Unfortunately, this year, because of the COVID, we had to cancel it. But we've had 4 years of that. And we get 12 to 13 guys that come back for that. And we have once in a while, we get invited to a memorabilia show. We'll sit there and sign autographs and do something like that. But it's just hard to get 19 guys together. Very fortunate and unfortunate, I guess. The only member of our team, other than Herb passing away, was Bobby Suter. Bobby was the first member of our team that passed away at 52 years old a few years ago. Ironically, coaching his son's hockey team. But there's 19 of us that are still there, and it's just hard to get 19 guys together because everybody's doing different things.
Okay.
I have one more question, Mike. Do you think the addition of the Seattle Kraken as the 32nd team in the NHL waters down the talent pool?
No, I don't think so. And I didn't know what a Kraken was till I read about it. But you know what? There are so many players today playing with the influx of the Europeans. The game of hockey, the skill level is off the charts. They are so good. There's so many players out there that can still play this game. And I don't know, maybe this is the last team to draw into the equation. But again, if anybody watches hockey and anybody watches international hockey, you see that the skill level is so good. The players are so talented, and I don't just say even the men, the women. The women players today, all across the world, are getting better, and we know the United States and Canada are off the charts, but the Europeans now are getting better, and the global sport of ice hockey is just getting better and better, and this talent and the skill level is spectacular. So I don't think it's going to affect anything.
Mike, before we wrap it up, let me ask you, you got another question there, Terry?
Yeah, I did want to just mention one thing. Someone asked me just to go over the being able to get Mike's book in Jersey. So if I can just explain that one more time.
Sure,
If
go
you
ahead.
go to the Cool Kids website, on the marketplace, we had to put it on marketplace since it's a product, but that will, it would be a donation to Cool Kids, and you get $100 is for the book, $300 for the jersey, and for both of them, it's $375. So you go on the Cool Kids website under Marketplace, and you'll see I have them at the very top, so no one can miss them. And that's how you can get those products. So thank you, Mike, for supporting us.
Yes.
Whatever you
Pretty
need.
simple. Yeah. Mike, before we go, I want to ask you one last question about February 22nd, 1980, when that game was over and you guys are congratulating the opponent, they're congratulating you. Was there any conversation between the Soviet players and you guys?
None whatsoever.
I didn't think so.
Some play, I'm trying to remember, there were a couple of smiles to some degree, and I think it was smiles out of respect for what we did. And there was a lot of obviously disappointment, but I really wasn't too concerned about what they would think. And I knew what I was thinking, that we had just won.
Well, Mike, thank you very much for being the first guest on our Cool Kids special spotlight tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, absolute honor to visit with you and go back and reminisce with you a little bit. And especially thanks for what you do for Cool Kids. And being on the board of directors, words can't express how gratifying it is to everybody involved with Cool Kids to have you with them. And thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. And next time we'll see, it won't be at an airport or wherever the hell we were.
We were actually in the air. I
In
think
the
we
air.
just come out of the men's room on the
There you
plane.
go.
Boom.
Thank you very much for having me. Cool Kids campaign. Let's keep the thing going, and I look forward to hopefully raising some good money at my event this weekend.
Yeah,
Yep.
good luck.
Yeah, we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank
you for all that you do. Thank you, Johnny. It was
Be
great
safe,
to have you.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
You
Mike.
too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.